I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this. But one evening, everything I believed about family and trust came crashing down. What I saw changed the way I look at relationships forever. Stay with me until the end, because this is a story you won't forget. It was a regular weekend at my uncle's house. My aunt had invited a few family members over for dinner, so the house was filled with laughter and good food. But as the night wore on, something felt off. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but the energy in the room was different. After dinner, most of the family went to bed early, leaving my uncle sitting in the living room. He seemed distracted, constantly checking his phone. I didn't think much of it. Until later that night. It was around 2 a.m. I couldn't sleep, so I decided to grab a glass of water from the kitchen. As I walked past the guest room, I noticed something strange. The door was slightly ajar, and I could see the faint glow of a phone screen. Curiosity got the better of me. I peeked inside, and there he was, my uncle, sitting on the bed, but he wasn't alone. There was another woman, someone who definitely wasn't my aunt. I froze. My heart started racing. At first, I thought maybe I was misunderstanding what I saw, but their body language said it all. The way they leaned into each other, whispering and laughing softly, it was undeniable. I quickly backed away, my mind spinning. Should I confront him? Should I tell my aunt? A million thoughts ran through my head as I tried to make sense of the situation. The next morning, I couldn't look at my uncle the same way. At breakfast, he acted as if nothing had happened. My aunt, completely unaware, was her usual cheerful self. I felt trapped between wanting to protect her and the fear of causing a family rift. What would you do in my situation? Would you speak up, knowing the damage it could cause? Or would you stay silent, hoping the truth would come out eventually? Looking back, that night taught me a harsh truth about relationships. Trust is fragile. I realized that infidelity doesn't just hurt the people directly involved. It ripples through families and friendships, leaving scars that may never heal. I never did confront my uncle, and to this day, I wonder if I made the right decision. But one thing's for sure, it made me question the importance of honesty and loyalty in every relationship I have. What would you have done? Have you ever found yourself in a situation like this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about the tough choices we face in life and how they shape us. There are moments in life when everything you believe is tested, when the people you trust the most show a side of themselves you never expected to see. This is one of those moments. What I'm about to share isn't just a story, it's a lesson. A hard, painful reminder that trust, once broken, can never be fully repaired. I wasn't ready for what I saw that night, and I doubt you would be either. Let me take you back to that unforgettable evening. It started like any other family gathering. My aunt had spent the entire day preparing her famous dishes. The house was warm, welcoming, and filled with the smell of home-cooked food. As the evening went on, everyone seemed to settle into their usual roles. My aunt entertained, my cousins laughed and joked, and my uncle, well, he was quieter than usual. I didn't think much of it at the time. After all, we all have our off days, right? But little did I know, his silence wasn't just tiredness. It was something far more sinister. That night, I couldn't sleep. Maybe it was the coffee, or maybe it was an instinct. Something telling me that not everything was as it seemed. I got up to get a glass of water, but as I passed the guest room, I noticed something strange. The door, which was usually closed, was slightly ajar. A faint glow of light spilled into the hallway. At first, I thought someone had forgotten to turn off the light, but as I approached, I heard whispers. My heart began to race. What I saw when I peeked inside the room is something I'll never forget. My uncle was there, but he wasn't alone. Sitting beside him was a woman, someone I'd never seen before. The way they leaned into each other, the way she touched his arm. It was clear this wasn't just a casual conversation. It felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. This was the man I had admired my entire life, and here he was, betraying the very foundation of our family. I froze. My first instinct was to storm in and confront him, to demand answers. But then I hesitated. What if I was wrong? What if this wasn't what it looked like? So instead of acting on impulse, I backed away. I returned to my room, my mind spinning. Every possible scenario played out in my head, but none of them felt right. Should I protect my aunt? Should I risk tearing the family apart? Or should I stay silent and hope it never happened again? There was no easy answer. The next morning was unbearable. My uncle acted like nothing had happened. He joked, he smiled, he even kissed my aunt on the cheek. And my aunt, she had no idea. She was happy, oblivious to the betrayal happening right under her nose. Watching them together, I felt sick. The weight of what I knew was crushing me. I thought about pulling her aside, about telling her everything. But how could I destroy her happiness? How could I tear our family apart without absolute proof? That night, I learned something about human nature that I wish I didn't have to know. Infidelity isn't just about the cheater and the cheated. It's about everyone caught in the crossfire. It's about the friends, the family, the kids, everyone who believes in a lie until it shatters in front of them. And the worst part, it doesn't just break trust, it breaks people. So here's the question I wrestle with every day. Was my silence the right choice? Or did I let someone I love continue living a lie? Now I want to hear from you. If you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Would you have spoken up, no matter the cost? Or would you have stayed silent, trying to protect the ones you love? Comment below and share your thoughts. Let's start a conversation about trust, loyalty, and the tough choices that define us. It was a typical weekend family dinner at my uncle and aunt's house. The smell of roasted chicken filled the air. The dining table was packed with our favorite dishes, and everyone was in high spirits. My uncle had always been the fun one in the family, the guy with the best jokes, the man everyone admired. My aunt, on the other hand, was the glue that held us all together. Watching them, you'd think they had the perfect marriage. But as the night went on, little details began to stand out, details I couldn't ignore. My uncle kept checking his phone. His face lit up with unreadable expressions. At one point, he excused himself from the table and didn't return for a while. I shrugged it off at first. After all, who doesn't get distracted sometimes? But I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. That night, I couldn't sleep. Maybe it was the coffee I had after dinner, or maybe it was something deeper, an instinct I couldn't explain. I decided to get up and grab some water, hoping it would help. As I walked through the hallway, I noticed the guest room door was slightly open. A faint light spilled out into the dark corridor, and I could hear muffled voices. My curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to take a closer look. What I saw stopped me in my tracks. My uncle was in the room, sitting on the edge of the bed, but he wasn't alone. There was a woman with him, someone I had never seen before. I didn't want to believe it at first. My mind scrambled for logical explanations. Maybe she was a coworker, a friend, someone innocent. But as I stood there, hidden in the shadows, it became clear. The way they looked at each other, the way she touched his hand, it was intimate. It was undeniable, and it was wrong. In that moment, my image of my uncle crumbled. This man I'd looked up to, this pillar of our family, was betraying the very person who loved him the most. I didn't sleep at all that night. My mind was racing with questions. Should I confront him? Should I tell my aunt? Should I keep this secret and hope it never happens again? When morning came, the weight of what I had seen was unbearable. My uncle acted as if nothing had happened, smiling and joking over breakfast. My aunt, as always, was warm and full of life, completely unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. I couldn't look at either of them the same way. Every word, every laugh, felt like a lie. But I was too scared to speak up. What if I was wrong? What if exposing the truth tore our family apart? Over time, I realized that infidelity doesn't just hurt the people directly involved. It creates ripples that affect everyone around them. Trust, once broken, can never be fully repaired. I started questioning the meaning of loyalty, the fragility of relationships, and how easily something so sacred can be destroyed. And it made me wonder, how many families out there are living with secrets like this? How many people are silently carrying the burden of someone else's betrayal? If you were in my position, what would you have done? Would you have told your aunt, knowing the devastation it could cause? Or would you have stayed silent, hoping the truth would never surface? These are the questions I still wrestle with to this day. I don't know if I made the right decision by staying silent, but one thing is certain. That night taught me a lesson I'll never forget. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Have you ever been in a situation where you discovered a secret that could destroy everything? How did you handle it? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's start a conversation about trust, loyalty, and the choices we face when the people we love let us down. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Together, we can uncover more stories and lessons that help us navigate the complexities of life.